I am reading the Altar of Burnt Offering, chapter 38. I'm almost done. The Exodus. They built the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood, 3 cubits high. It was square, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. They made a horn at each of the 4 corners, so that the horns and the altar were of one piece, and they overlaid the altar with bronze. They made all its utensils of bronze, its pots, shovels, sprinkling bowls, meat forks, and fire pans. They made a grating for the altar, a bronze network, to be under its ledge, halfway up the altar. They cast bronze rings to hold the poles for the 4 corners of the bronze grating. They made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. They inserted the poles into the rings so they would be on the sides of the altar for carrying it. They made it hollow out of boards. Basin for washing. They made the bronze basin and its bronze stand from the mirrors of the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the courtyard. Next they made the courtyard. The south side was 100 cubits long and had curtains of finely twisted linen, with 20 posts and 20 bronze bases, with silver hooks and bands on the posts. The north side was also 100 cubits long and had 20 posts and 20 bronze bases, with silver hooks and bands on the posts. The west end was 50 cubits wide and had curtains, with 10 posts and 10 bases, with silver hooks and bands on the posts. The east end, towards the sunrise, was 50 cubits wide. Curtains 15 cubits long were on one side of the entrance, with 3 posts and 3 bases. The curtains 15 cubits long were on the other side of the entrance to the courtyard, with 3 posts and 3 bases. All the curtains around the courtyard were of finely twisted linen. The bases for the posts were bronze. The hooks and bands on the posts were silver, and their tops were overlaid with silver. So all the posts of the courtyard had silver bands. The curtains for the entrance to the courtyard was of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen, the work of an embroiderer. It was 20 cubits long, and like the curtains of the courtyard, 5 cubits high, with 4 posts and 4 bronze bases. Their hooks and bands were silver, and the tops were overlaid with silver. All the tent pegs of the tabernacle and the surrounding courtyard were bronze. The used materials. These are the amounts of the materials used for the tabernacle. The tabernacle of the testimony, which were recorded at Moses' command by the Levites, under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made everything the Lord commanded Moses. With his was Oholib, son of Ashimach, of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman and designer, and an embroiderer in blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen. The total amount of the gold from the wave offering used for all the work on the sanctuary was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. The silver obtained from the community who were counted in the census was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. 1 bekah per person, that is half a shekel, according to the sanctuary shekel, for everyone who crossed over to those counted 20 years old or more, a total of 603,550 men. The 100 talents of silver were used to cast the bases for the sanctuary and for the curtain. 100 bases from the 100 talents, 1 talent for each bases. They used the 1,775 shekels to make the hooks for the posts, to overlay the tops of the posts, and to make their bands. The bronze from the wave offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. They used it to make the basis for the entrance to the tent of meeting, the bronze altar with its bronze grating and all its utensils, the basis for the surrounding courtyard and those for its entrance, and all the tent pegs for the tabernacle and those for the surrounding courtyard. And that's the end of chapter 38. Now the chapter 38 was about the altar, the wash basin, the courtyard, and the materials used. So it's basically like accounting for all the materials, and it's like basically when you make something, right? So when I read this, I visualize basically communities, and it's like you have a community in one place and then you decide to move to another place. And it really reminds me of like sports teams and cities and all the little things we have in our like little places with their, you know, where like for example when it says when it talks about the colored hold on, where's the color? I want to find it. See, I have to get better at this. But the colors of the curtains, right, with linen, they would use blue, red, and see, I'm so bad at colors, but the embroidered, the linen, there, blue, purple, and scarlet. Blue, purple, and scarlet. So those are just one set of colors, right? And like in all the sports teams that we have, in all the different communities, we'll have colors. That's why it's like you have a sports team with colors, and that's why colors are important for establishing a community, right? And they had finally, it's like fine craftsmanship has been around, and it's like it doesn't really make sense. Like, why bother going through the trouble of making something really finely made? Well, the idea behind it is to, as an offering to God, and because really unless you're doing it for God, there's really no reason for doing it, right? So I like this chapter because it kind of wraps up. I remember I said earlier, it's really boring, right? Because what the Lord commanded, the planning part, was really boring listening to it all. But now watching it being completed, and like it's talking about the materials used and stuff, it's nice to just kind of visualize that community being created, and just kind of visualizing all of the little communities around the world being completed in the same way. Yeah, and that's it. In the next one, I have a few chapters left. It's about the priestly garments, the ephod, and a few more things. I'm almost done. I have 39 and 40 to go of Exodus.